I'm also going to say, look, son, daughter, whatever, non-binary, whatever the term is for non-binary child. My child. All right, so those who have been around for the show for a while know a trans person by the name of Kelly Cadigan, and she used to be she was very briefly a grifter for conservatives, like an outwardly open grifter. Like she said she's a grifter, right? Like she owned it. And then she kind of had a come to Jesus moment where she was like, she backed off. She was like, I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. I want to listen to people and kind of learn this stuff better. And even like, non-binary people or what have you. And I want to learn this stuff better, right? I want to understand it. So I had a lot of hope for her, and so I made 2 videos. One, which was basically calling her a grifter, which she was, and then the next one saying, oh, look, she's backed off of some of that grifty shit. Well, she's back on her grifter grind set, my dudes, and I'm very disappointed because I had a lot of hope for her. So just to give you an example, like a brief overview of the problem, I've been following her ever since she said that she's going to back off the grift. A lot of her posts have been like dunking on TERFs and stuff. She claims that she is against TERFs, which is good. We hate TERFs here. TERFs can go f themselves. Unfortunately, she's not completely uncringified, if you will. We'll see what I mean here in a second. So she posts a lot about like, here's a great example. Make trans women femme again, right? And then she has a video of herself doing like this sexy pose. And she's, she looks fine. She looks good. She is very clearly, like she's been on hormone therapy since she was like young, right? Like she was on puberty blockers and, all that good stuff. And her parents, I think, accept her identity and all that. So she looks, basically you would never guess that she's trans just by looking at her. Not to the extent that you can do that is the point. But like she's on this weird kick, which is like, she just does not like non-binary people. She thinks they're faking it. She also just thinks that, like, if you're not trying to pass as femme, or like if you're not trying hard enough as a trans woman, then you don't deserve to be called a woman. And it's just so stupid. It's so silly. Basically, what she is a transmedicalist. She's a transmedicalist first and foremost. And then she's also got this thing going on where she's very set in the gender binary. You're either male or female, and that aligns to being either a man or a woman, respectively. Like, that's her worldview. So she's gatekeeping. True scum gatekeeper. Thank you. I still don't completely know what true scum means, but I kind of get the vibe. Anyway, she also posted this just to give you more context. 5-year-olds do not need to be learning about gender ideology, quote unquote. If you disagree, you're the problem, #trans. So let's see what she says here. Now, just right off the bat, before I start this, I do want to say teaching kids, quote unquote, about gender ideology is not a thing. It's in as far as it is a thing, like we teach kids about gender before they're even born, right? Like we assign pink to girls and blue to boys, and then we dress our like 6-month-olds up in dresses to take them to church if they're a girl, and we dress them up in little suits and ties and funny little shirts that say I like boobs or whatever if they're boys, right? So we instill that binary before they even understand what it is or what's going on. So it's not unreasonable to think that like a 3-year-old, for instance, would understand that there is some kind of difference between a girl and a boy, and that technically could be qualified under gender ideology because you're specifically talking about gender, right? But let's see what she has to say.
A live stream where a bunch of woke extremists were debating a mother of a 5-year-old, a kid who's in kindergarten. And, the mom said, I don't really know if I want my 5-year-old being taught about gender ideology in the classroom, And it's not because I'm transphobic. It's not because I don't want my kid to grow up and be accepting. It's just that, I feel like that's a really young age.
So if you're told this by somebody, like let's say somebody close to you, what you say is, okay, tell me specifically what you don't want your kid learning. Because gender ideology is vague, too vague. So you have to get them down on the specific points that they do not want their kids learning. And if you can do that, sometimes you can deprogram them a little bit if they're being genuine.
Every other person on that panel told her she was a bigot, told her she was transphobic, and that she had to work on her internalized transphobia. This is exactly why the Conservative Party views a lot of...
Okay, if that is what happened, I agree that that's really stupid, and you should not do that. Never ever go for you have to work on your privileges. You have to reflect sweaty. You see, I know better than you, my friend. No. People don't go for that. Trust me, I've been there. You have to meet people where they're at, ask them questions to get, a better understanding of where they're at, and then go from there.
extremist left as predatory, because unfortunately a lot of you guys want to push this gender ideology BS onto children, and it's not.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is the way that they went about this. It's not the gender ideology that's the problem. It's the way they went about it. If you're being a creep and you're saying, well, you don't know what's best for your kids, I do, then yeah, of course you're gonna get the middle finger from these people. Yeah, I agree with that part. What I don't agree is that it has anything to do with gender ideology. No, this is stupid.
It's not a good idea. Because what happens if a 5-year-old who's going to grow up to be a gay boy, right?
Most trans meds are cool. No, they're not, because they're trans meds.
You teach them that gender ideology
that disqualifies
is possible, that
them.
you can transition and be whatever gender you want at the age of 5 or 6. They hit the age of 12. Your hormones are going fucking crazy. All you want is for, who you like to like you back.
Bad take, I disagree.
So a little gay boy, all they want is for straight men to like them. They're obsessed with femininity. They love feminine things. They love pink. So they instantly think, oh, I'm meant to be a woman. I can be a woman. That's what I was taught when I was 5 years old.
This is stupid. No, this is really dumb. What I'm going to tell my kids here, I'll tell you the way that I'm going to go about this with my kids, because I've thought about this. I'm going to gender them, and I'm going to, give them boys or girls names or androgynous names, whatever name I like, whatever. I'm going to go by the standard that society has set, because I don't want to them and make them like unapproachable to other people, right? So I'm going to do that. But I'm also going to say, look, son, daughter, whatever, whatever the term is for non-binary child. My child, listen, like I've, just because you were born male, we've ascribed the gender of man or boy to you. But if you want to take on another moniker, another gender, that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. If you like dresses, you can wear a dress, and you can even wear a dress and still be a boy. There's nothing wrong with that either. And if you explain it to them this way, then I don't see the problem. I truly do not see the problem. You can say, look, you can be a boy, girl, non-binary, doesn't matter. You can wear whatever clothes you want and still be a boy or a girl or a non-binary, doesn't matter. It's whatever you want it to be. So go nuts. Like I just don't see the problem.
Going to transition and be a trans woman. Combine that with woke culture telling parents they're abusive if they don't allow their children to transition, and it creates a really dangerous mix. It's going to make it so these kids are confused.
What's dangerous?
Their parents allow them to make medical transitions, and then they're going to grow into adults who have regrets. And we're going to see the repercussions of this in like 20 years. If we
see, they always like gesture at this regrets thing. And it's like, yeah, when they turn like 70, I guess, right? Like they'll regret it then, definitely, right? It's like, where are all these people with regrets? Like there's some detransitioners who regret it. And I'm not saying they don't exist, but to the extent they do, they're very few and far between. And they'll never admit that. They're always just gesturing at like, oh, no, don't worry. The wave's coming, right? The wave's coming. No, it's not.
Going down this rabbit hole, that's where we're going to end up. We've already seen a bunch of people post.
And yeah, she did, by the way, transition as a kid, as I mentioned earlier. She's been on fucking hormone therapy since she was like 13 or some shit.
Videos talking about how they regret the decisions they made as minors. You don't think that's going to increase? But
no,
hey,
I don't.
We have the documented data, right? All these data studies they prove everything, right? We're going to be fine.
Yes.
We'll be fine.
What do you have? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, your studies. Oh, your scientific studies. Yeah. What do you have? What? R/D trans? Why should I trust that bullshit? You can write literally anything on there. But anyway, the reason I brought her up mainly is so that I could brag about my sick ratio. So let's look at it. When someone looks at me, they automatically assume my pronouns are she, her because I made a physical transition. When someone looks at a non-binary person, they automatically assume your pronouns are that of your birth sex because you didn't make a transition. Even if that is true, like I've gotten cis people's gender wrong before. It's not that big of a deal. Like sometimes they'll make it a big deal and you gotta like traverse through that or whatever. But for the most part, you just say sorry, you correct yourself, you move on. This is just the way that it's always been, right? You see a woman, you mistake her for a man, she slaps you if she's, a bad person, but then ultimately you correct yourself, you move on, right? Yeah, so then I replied, like, Kelly, you're starting to sound obsessed, it's not healthy. Which she is, she makes posts like this all the time. She got 214 likes on her post, I got 2.7k likes. So the thread continues. She says, I'm obsessed. I don't know who you are, yet you follow me closely enough to make such a claim. And to be clear, I've been following her ever since I heard about her. Not closely, mind you. I just hop on Twitter sometimes. More than I should, to be fair. But I just, I'll see her dumb shit takes pop up once in a while, and I gotta respond. So I said, yes, you made a spectacle of yourself grifting for conservatives, then seemed to become a reasonable human, only for you to go transmedicalist and make posts all the time about how only trans women who pass are valid. It's gross and you should stop. I said, I've been trying to have a conversation with you for quite some time because I think you're reasonable, but it seems I can never get your attention. And yes, I have reached out to her on multiple platforms. I have tried to get her on stream to talk or even in private to talk. Like, I just want to talk to her. right? Figure some shit out. Now that I have it, I'll open that door again. I would love to chat on my live stream or privately. Let's just talk. She says the entitlement is unreal. So I just reply like, you can just say no, but that doesn't make your transmedicalist BS any better. And she says there's nothing wrong with transmedicalism. And I said, you're judging people based on how well they pass, quote unquote. There's plenty wrong with that. Why do you care so much about how other people look? Let me guess, you put tons of effort into passing, and then you see other trans women put in significantly less effort and still expect to be gendered correctly, and that makes you feel like they're taking shortcuts to achieve the same status as you. Am I in the ballpark? And I think I pretty much nailed it. I think I nailed it, personally. She has not yet replied to that, but honestly, that's what it feels like to me, is she put all this effort in, you know, to make this trans thing happen for her, and, you know, she looks beautiful. She looks great. She looks great. She does. But, you know, like, just because somebody doesn't look as great as you do subjectively, because that's subjective, right? Like, that, in your opinion, does not look as feminine or as great as you do as a woman, that doesn't make their status as a woman less valid. And if you apply, by the way, if you apply that standard to cis women, or sorry, to trans women, you have to apply it to cis women too. And I got into an argument with somebody about it because they think that women should shave. And they started by saying, well, if trans women don't shave, then they can't be expected to be referred to as women. And I said, okay, what about like cis women? You know, some cis women have to shave. Do you hold that standard for them too? And she said, yeah, I do. Okay. Well, as long as you're not singling out trans women, I really don't give a shit. Like, I still think it's a stupid thing to uphold, but at least she's not being transphobic, I guess. So, you know, point being, like, this is just another type of grifting. It's a little bit different from Blair White's, in my opinion, but it stems from insecurity. She's being very insecure. Now, there are ways to deal with insecurity, and this is not it. So I do hope she comes around and she tries to see the way that you see what she's doing wrong, you know, or at least reflect like she's reflected before, but I would really like her to do it again and really figure out like what the hell's going on, because she's insecure as hell and she's just not dealing with it appropriately. That's all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.